Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Evelyn, and today I want to do a video about how and why I moved my retirement annuity from one provider to the other. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and to the returning subscribers, thank you so much for returning. And yeah, let's get into today's video. So I used to have 2 retirement annuity funds at different companies, and I decided to stop contributing to those funds because I didn't really understand what was going on, and that caused a lot of insecurities for me, because in the end it just felt like I was paying an expense that wasn't bringing me any benefit. So yeah, I stopped because I was of the opinion that this is not a good product. It's not going to help me in any way. What are they even doing with my money, and will I even be secure in my retirement? And yeah, so I decided to just stop paying, and that was in 2018, I think. The last time I paid for one of the 2 was in 2018. But throughout the period 2018 to 2020, I kept reading material about retirement, and there are 2 very strong schools of thought on retirement annuities. Some say, or the first school of thought would say, it's a good product, you get tax refunds, it's tax efficient because you've got a portion of it that allows you to contribute and not incur taxes or get a reduction on your taxes. And then there's another school of thought that says, but you'll only be able to access this money at 55. The laws may change, and you're only the money is regulated. How the money is invested is regulated, and therefore it's a bad product. I evaluated the information. I read a lot of books. One of the books that I read was Anthea Gardner's book, which I always talk about. I even have a video about it. I'll link it below. And one thing that sat with me from Anthea's book is that if you want to live a comfortable life, or the life that you're currently living, or the standard of life that you currently have in your retirement, you must just multiply your annual expenses, I think, by 17. And that was a wake-up call for me to say, you're not saving enough for retirement. You've stopped contributing and are hoping that the funds that you have in those 2 will grow to take care of you in retirement. And my evaluation was that I need to restart and to rethink things in that area. So I'm going to tell you about what I was unhappy with, and then what were my solutions and how I tried to address my problems. And then I'll tell you what or how the process went. It was very quick, not daunting at all. And yeah, let's get into that. The problems that I had as an investor with 2 providers that operated in a similar way. Firstly, the reasons why I got these arrays were not mine. I spoke to a financial advisor, and I had a meeting with a financial advisor, and they said, this is what you should be doing. As a person, you need to be investing for retirement, and this is the product. And I was like, okay. The second thing was that the funds that were chosen for my investment were not funds that I actually understood. We did a risk assessment with the financial advisors, and from the risk results, there is a set of products from which to choose. So if you get a certain score, you will be invested in a certain fund. So that was the process. It felt at the time, it felt very organized and making sense in a way, but over time I just got very insecure about what is really happening. What is this fund that they're investing my money in? And I didn't have the answers. Another thing is that the financial advisors, they sign you up. Well, mine did. They signed me up, and then from there communications just stopped. I remember this other one, I wanted to increase, because that was our plan. I wanted to increase my contributions, and she just didn't want to respond to my SMSs, or would just ignore my SMSs. So that also put me at, made me very uneasy to say, but what is going on with this person? Are they just here to sign up people, or are they really a financial advisor? So those were the problems. And then another thing is that the statements that I would get from these companies would come with, would only reflect balances at the time of reporting. So they would say, this is the number of units you have in this fund, and this is the amount. You wouldn't see any movement. So they won't say from the beginning of the year, or the beginning of the period that we are reporting for up to now, or the balance at the beginning of the year and the balance at the date of reporting is this much, so that you can see whether you went up or you went down. None of that. So it was just the balances, and that is a bit vague, because then you're also required, if you want more information, you have to call for more information. And I'm the kind of person who doesn't like that. I don't like calling companies to say, but I need more information on my account and what. No, I would rather access my account and see everything or get a statement that actually shows me the movement. Then the fees were hidden, and these companies actually work the same, because there's a paragraph in the statement that would say your effective annual cost is a cost that is made up of whatever. But if you want to see the details of it, you have to call our call center, and they will send you the breakdown of the cost. And I'm like, but this is another layer that I don't want. I mean, this information must just come to me. So transparency was a big issue for me. Yeah, so over time, like I said, during the 2 years, I decided to find out more, and it was very interesting to see that on Twitter you've got people that were actually dedicated to discussing the issue of retirement annuities. So I came across a blog by Walter. I just know him as Walter. I'll link it below. And in his blog, he publishes, or he reviews, the cheapest retirement annuity providers in South Africa. And that was a very it was a great resource for me, because then I could see, oh, there's a possibility of getting 1%, there's a possibility of getting even lower than 1% charged on my retirement annuity. So I used that blog. I will link it below. And then, yeah, so let's get into the criteria that I applied when I wanted when I shopped for a new provider for my retirement annuity. The criteria that I used was, firstly, I had to understand the fee structure. Before I signed up with anyone, I needed to know how do they charge for their product? So that was my first mission, and that's where Walter's blog came in very handy, because I could see what each retirement annuity provider was charging for their product, and I could go to the website and confirm. So that was the first thing. And then I was on a mission to eliminate certain fees. Firstly, the first fee was the advisor fee, because I had bad experience with advisors, like I said earlier. So I needed to find a company that doesn't offer financial advice. I had to be my own financial advisor. Before I continue, please remember this is not financial advice. Thank you. Or avoid was management fees, or fund management fees. So how to do that? I wanted a passively managed fund which follows an index, so something like an ETF, an exchange traded fund, because it's not managed. It follows an index, which means there is a predetermined investment strategy. So the fund just tries to follow that strategy, and that strategy is managed by certain criteria. If a company underperforms, it is eliminated from the index, and so that's what will happen with the index fund. So that's what I needed. So the third criteria was transparency. So I needed a company that had an online portal where I can access my account and see, and also where I can see upfront, before I even signed, how the funds are structured. So that was the third criteria. And also the fourth was that everything had to be simple. It had to be a product and a company that operated in a simple way, where I can explain to the next person what exactly I'm doing. So that was my criteria. So let's get into the company that I chose. So I evaluated 2 companies. I'm not going to mention the companies, but you will see them if you read the blog. So the one that I chose charges a fee of 1.09% or 1% before that. And then the other one that I evaluated, or that I was considering, charges around 0.6%, somewhere there. Yeah, I think so. So the company that I chose have funds, passively managed funds with set criteria. So that's one. And then 2, they charge, like I said, a fee of 1.09 or 1% before that. They don't offer financial advice, which is a tick against my criteria. And like I said, no management fees, because they offer a passively managed index fund. So the reason I went with this company, or I signed up with them, was they offered me a 6 months fee-free period. So that means for the next 6 months from June, it was in June 2020, if I signed up before the 30th of June, they would not charge me any fees until December. So I was like, great, I need my money to recover, and no amount of lower fee can match a 0% rate for 6 months. That was my opinion, and I was very happy with that approach, and so I signed up. And then in terms of choosing a fund, my criteria was simple. I used my Outlook, and I said to myself, how many years do I have until retirement, or until the age of 55? And at that time it was over 15 years. So I decided, okay, 15 years means I can absorb the market fluctuations. So I'll take the highest exposure to equities, and which is the highest risk fund. So that was my financial advice that I was very satisfied with, and that I understood and made sense to me. So yeah, that's how I chose my array and the array provider. Fine. Let's get into the transfer process. The transfer process was very easy. I used to have, I think I mentioned this earlier, I had two, my arrays were at two array providers, and so I called each one of them and said I want to transfer my array to another provider, and they were like, okay, that's fine. And they sent me a section 14 form. So the whole process of transferring a retirement annuity to another retirement annuity provider or fund is called a section 14 transfer. I guess it's in section 14 of the Pensions Act. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's where it comes from. So I filled in the form, and one of the things that they require is that you should give them information about where you're taking the money. So that's why I had to shop for a new retirement annuity provider and a new fund before I effected the move. So I did that, and I gave them that information to say this is where I'm taking my money, and the new provider then facilitated the move and the investment. I think the whole process took about 6 to 8 weeks between the two existing funds to the new one. Took about 6 to 8 weeks because yeah, there was a delay here and there with the information and me having to clarify certain things, but eventually about 6 to 8 weeks and I was invested. And that's how I moved my retirement annuity to another retirement annuity provider. I have since started to contribute again because now things make sense, and I'm very happy with how I understand my retirement annuity or retirement savings structure. And yeah, I'm very happy with my provider as well. So that's the video for today, and thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and yeah, tell me about your experiences with retirement annuities and financial advisors and all of that jazz. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.